Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think is good and bad in the Soulforge this week. What's worth crafting and what's worth running away from faster than Speedy Gonzalez running downhill with a stiff wind behind him on a slippery slope. Yes, that fast. But first of all, let's pop into the shop and take a look at the weekly event troop, Lord Archimedes. What I'm going to start doing this week, and I've thought about doing it the last couple of weeks, but we'll start from today. I'm just going to give my first impression on this troop. A mark out of 10 based on what I think of it on the initial first impressions. And we'll take a look at him here. What does he do? Deals scatter damage, boosted by Forest of Thorns allies, then silences the first enemy. Boost ratio is ×6. He's from Forest of Thorns himself, so even if you had a full team with Forest of Thorns allies, it's only going to be a boost of plus 24. So it's not great, it's not awful either. Like, scatter damage does seem to be lower than other types of damage in the game. And he does silence first enemy. The traits: allied beasts gain 2 life, immune to silence, and recover 1 life at the start of each turn. Are particularly average. Immune to silence is okay. Yeah, but this is the absolute definition of average to me. It's not terrible, and it's not fantastic either. So, fairly, very average, but not awful, but not great. 5 out of 10 for Lord Archimedes. First impression. I could be wrong. Anyway, grab him. Always worth grabbing these troops if you can. Grab them up to a mythic level, because then you've got another troop to level 20, which is going to help your power levels in your kingdoms. Whilst you're in this area, always good to grab the spoils of war as well. Get them up to 10 if you've got the available glory. You get some more gold, some event keys, and souls. Very handy indeed. Right, now so let's jump into the Soulforge itself. I'll go over the weapons first. Only the new ones. I'm not going to go over the stuff that's here all the time, because they are in previous Soulforge videos. So we'll start with the Oaken Crown. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Forest of Thorns allies. Then create a mix of 6 green and yellow gems for each Forest of Thorns ally. So you need a full Forest of Thorns ally to team to make this work properly. Then it creates a mix of green and yellow. But because the weapon uses brown and purple, what it means is you need at least a couple of those troops from Forest of Thorns that use green and yellow to make this viable. Otherwise you're creating that mix of gems for no reason. So it is very situational, but if you've got a team that fulfills those requirements, then obviously it's worth picking up. These ones are here all the time, so I'm not going to go over those again. And I'll go over these ones again real soon, these curse breaker ones. First of all, we've got the Hammer of Force, which is good for a hammer. Wouldn't be very good if it was a hammer of softness, would it? Anyway, deals damage to an enemy, and there's a 4% chance to kill them, boosted by elemental enemies. So, wow. So you need to be fighting against a whole team of elementals to make this remotely viable. The boost ratio is only ×4. So that's, even if you had a whole team of elemental enemies, that's 16. So you've only got a 20% chance when you cast this of killing them. And I'm not really a fan of these ones where there's a percentage chance to kill, because it never seems to work that well. Even when it's meant to be a higher ratio, it's very literally hit or miss, and not a fan. But if you're feeling lucky and you've just had some luck go your way, then that may work. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of thing myself. Bow of Thorns. I'd rather have a bow of arrows, but a bow of thorns might work, I suppose. Removes all green gems with no effect, so this is only good if you're on a team that doesn't really use green, and is a good counter. If the enemy does use green, it will take them away, and it only uses 9 mana cost, so pretty quick to get charged as well. So remove all green gems, then deal damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed at a 3:1 ratio. If the enemy is from Forest of Thorns, deal double damage. So, again, you need, quite situational, you need to be fighting a team from Forest of Thorns to make this viable. Not that great again, but low mana cost. And more completist than anything. Elemental Bow. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by elemental allies. Another one of these ones which we're getting for each kingdom. Then create a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each elemental ally. So, similar to the other weapon that was is similar to this. You need to have a team of elemental allies to make this work properly, and because this uses purple and yellow, you need at least a couple of allies in your team that require blue and green gems to make this work. But again, if those requirements are fulfilled, then yeah, these can be really, really good weapons. And that is it for the weapons. That was nice and quick and easy. Again, with the Mythics, I'm not going to go over the ones that are here all the time, just the ones that are new. And the first one is the Scourge of Honor. Quite a handy troop, this. Deals true damage to all enemies and gains 2 mana back for each cursed or diseased enemy. The thing I like about this is, I like true damage anyway, but when the traits work with the spell, that is really, really handy. And his third trait really does. To go over the first 2 traits first, immune to disease and lycanthropy is handy. Lycanthropy is really irritating. Getting transformed into a beast is... So, there's, you know, being immune to lycanthropy, I do like that. Omen of Nature is a complete one-use spell, and then it's, well, or effect rather, and then it's gone. Explode a green gem at the start of battle, so it's literally start of the battle, boom, a little bit of mana generation, and that is it. That second trait is no more. And the third one is actually quite decent. Curse and Disease a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems. So you get a bunch of 4 matches going, and if you're fortunate and you cast it on different people, this works really, really well with his spell, because the second part of it, gain 2 mana back for each cursed or diseased enemy. Because he curses and diseases a random enemy on 4 matches, that's basically 4 mana you're going to get back per enemy. If you're lucky enough to get the whole other team cursed and diseased, he's going to cast his spell and then get 16 of his mana back straight away out of the required 22. That's pretty decent. Quite like him. Enraged Kurandara is here all the time and is the alternate version of the standard Kurandara. Kurandara deals damage to an enemy boosted by Doom Skulls at a ×10 ratio, and then convert a yellow gems to Doom Skulls, and then conjures a Doomstorm. What's cool about that is you can obviously look to make sure there's alignment first on those yellow gems to Doom Skulls before casting. The downside to that is sometimes you have to wait before you can cast. It's no good just casting it if you're going to set up the opposition. Most of the time you do have to wait for a nice 4 match on converting yellow to Doom Skulls, but when it hits, it can hit really, really hard, and this guy can be super, super dangerous. Gains bonus red from red gem matches, which is nice. Impervious is excellent. Immune to all status effects, Devour, Lycanthropy and Mana Burn. And Curse of Ruin is actually superb. 50% chance to curse all enemies when matching 4 or more gems. That is really, really handy when someone is cursed. Those troops that before were immune to Devour, things like that, then they're cursed, suddenly they can be devoured and killed and things like that. Really, really handy. Do like Curse, it is an underrated trait. One thing of note with Enraged Kurandara being here is a lot of people actually prefer the standard Kurandara to the Enraged one. The Enraged one is very hard to get, requires 8 orbs of power and things like that. And there's not much difference. The spell is literally identical in every single way, but the only thing that's different is the Curse of Damnation is worse. It's 40% chance to curse all enemies when my turn begins rather than 50. And the only thing that's different about him is he's invulnerable rather than impervious. Invulnerable, admittedly, is better. You can't be hit by lethal damage. Even Zul'Goth cannot kill this thing with a single hit, but it's debatable. Is it worth that extra mana cost? I personally don't think so. I'd prefer, if I could keep one or the other, I would keep the standard Kurandara, I have to admit, rather than this enraged version. It's much higher mana cost, and it's worse on the Curse of Damnation, and it's literally just for that invulnerable. So, whatever. Shade of Zorn, Shade of Zorn. Wow, how bad can Mythics get? Look at this thing. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by red allies and skulls, and if the enemy dies, summon 2 Fists of Zorn. Crikey, there are so many things wrong with this Mythic, it is scary. Well, it's not scary, that's the whole thing about it, is shade of not scary. First of all, for that second part to be relevant, you have to have lost a couple of allies in the first place, which is not very good. Secondly, the spell is rubbish. It's like, I can imagine Shade of Zorn and Fallen Valdis having a fight over who's the worst Mythic in the game, because it really is potentially that bad. The boost ratio is ×4, so let's say we've tried to fulfill all these requirements. We've got all red allies in our team, so we've got 4 red allies because he's one of them, so we've got 3 others. So we've got that boost ratio of times 16 now. And say there's 6 skulls there, so that's another 24. That's only a boost of 40. So even on my level, that's 80 damage to an enemy. For a mythic. That's rubbish. Shade of rubbishness. Get the hell out of here. Even his traits don't even work properly. Okay, stealthy is not too bad. But undying, immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and deathmark is okay. But Zorn's Fury, gain 4 mana when I take damage, is kind of stupid compared with his second trait. He's immune to poison. You don't want him to be immune to poison. You want him to be poisoned. You want him to do that, because then when he takes that 1 damage, you'll gain 4 mana. He's actually immune to stuff which is going to give him mana. Shade of Zorn, get out of here. You're absolutely useless, mate. So all the goths we know about. And the last one is Jotnar Stormshield. He's an old mythic, this one, but he's still quite handy. Deals true damage to an enemy boosted by barriered allies and giant allies. So he's very defensive the way this guy works, but it can make a difference. His traits are allied giants gain 2 life, gain 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches, but the best one by a mile, give a random ally a barrier on 4 or 5 gem matches. Really handy, just get some gem matches going on the on some 4 matches, and you can have your whole team shielded. It's like really good. Quite like him. A bit old, but old doesn't mean to say he's bad. Now onto the legendaries. Do usually say don't craft legendaries because they're much easier to get in gem chests compared to mythics. So unless there's someone really special that you are absolutely dying for and they just haven't turned up in chests, I always say hold on to your gems, or diamonds, sorry, because these are much easier to get overall than mythics from chests. Let's start with the first one though. Hyndla Frost Crown. Deals splash damage to an enemy and freezes all affected troops, and summons a giant troop. So the damage can be useful, the freeze is quite handy, and she has a summon as well. She was quite relevant in a lot of teams a little while ago. You don't see her so much anymore, but still semi-decent. She's okay. That giant queen at the bottom there is particularly good. All giant allies gain 2 life and magic on 4 or 5 gem matches. And there is Hyndla. King Bloodhammer. Deals damage to the 2 strongest enemies and transforms all blue to Doom Skulls to boost the damage. You still see him in plenty of teams. A really good legendary. And he has a couple of really good traits as well. Immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and deathmark. And summon a Doomstorm when an enemy dies. That goes well with his spell. King Avalorn. The ever-present in Life and Death teams using Orb Weaver and Arachnian Weaver teams. This guy is actually really good for that. All allies start with 50% mana is his main reason for being in those teams. Apart from that, he can be annoying still because he deals damage to all enemies boosted by Elf, Elemental and Beast allies, and has a summon as well. So this guy is often put at the bottom of a team that's Orb Weaver and using Life and Death and Arachnian Weaver. And for that reason, the 50% start, and if you manage to kill the first couple of troops, he can summon one back. So he can be an absolute pain and is indeed a very good legendary. I said earlier, I don't usually craft legendaries, but the thing is, you got to, work these things out how much value they have to your team. If, for example, you have Life and Death, you have Arachnian Weaver, but you don't have King Avalorn yet, this is going to transform the way you use that team. So in that instance, I would say King Avalorn is worth crafting, but don't come, and blame me afterwards if then the next chest you open you get King Avalorn straight away and get really annoyed you just wasted your diamonds, because that is the way things go sometimes. Whatever you get from legendaries, you have to be prepared for it to suddenly show up in chests very soon after, because that does seem to happen sometimes. Next one, Vesuvius. Deals damage to all enemies boosted by burning and enraged allies and enemies. So, an okay damage to all troop. 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of my turn. The best trait probably. Reduce damage from scars by 50% is good as well, but also enrage myself when I take damage is not to be sniffed at. So, pretty good troop in first place. That skull reduction and being enraged can work really well in a large number of teams. So there's the troops, but who is going to get my coveted, probably, Mythic of the week. Shade? No, it's not. It's Kurandara. I have to give it to Kurandara. Really, really good troop. Tremendous damage when you get those skulls lined up, and you can obviously see when it's going to get you an extra turn at the same time, so you can do a huge amount of skulls. You're often going to be able to align some more skulls after that as well, and casting of this often means the death of one or two of your enemies. So there it is, Kurandara, the Mythic of the week. There's a video. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because there's many more videos to come. And congrats to Robert Thone. He was the latest finder of the Magical Invisible Lollipop Finder Award. He found it in the last video. So well done to him. And there'll be another one hidden in this video somewhere. So try and find the lollipop and sound it out, or shout it out, or whatever you do, in the comments section, and tell everyone where it is. And if you win that, you get an invisible award. It arrives on you. I shall send it to you personally. It flies through the air at the speed of invisibleness and lands on you, and you will be so proud. You are the lollipop finder of the day. Well, enough of that. Catch you later. See you again next time. Bye for now.